Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'll be sharing my thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 Episode 6. As is the norm with all my videos, I won't be holding back on any spoilers, so please do keep that in mind. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. Kind of struggling to process how I feel about this episode. I don't think it does anything particularly wrong. It's not terrible in any way, shape or form. The dialogue is pretty good, the set pieces are well done as well, but there's just something about it which didn't grab me in the same way that the 5 episodes prior to this have done. It just feels like there's something missing. For me, I think this is the worst episode of Fear the Walking Dead so far this season. I didn't really enjoy it, and I'm going to now explain why. Firstly, I don't think it helps that the majority of this episode is focused on June, a character who I don't really care about. She's been tasked by Ginny to go around in Sarah's truck, and the pair of them have this makeshift operating theatre in the back of it, and they're going to try and go around and save people in it, and every time Sarah and June are on screen, I just can't help but think to myself I'd rather be following characters who I care more about, such as Strand, Alicia, Daniel, characters who I like more and who I find to be more interesting, because I just find these two to be a bit dull, really. So straight off the bat, I kind of knew that this episode might not be for me, and I think, that's always going to be a risk of making a season or half a season which is just like bottle episodes, because you're going to get to the point where there may just be an episode in which you don't like the characters it focuses on. There's always going to be that way. To be honest, I'm surprised that I've enjoyed every episode so far we've had this season, and I think there's always going to be one or two that I was bound to dislike, and this is that simply because I don't really care about the characters in it. After unsuccessfully trying to remove a man's appendix, John picks June up in his car. The two of them have a chat, and John suggests that they should run away together. And I got serious deja vu because this is the exact same conversation that Dwight and Sherry had in last week's episode. John doesn't tell June about what happened to Janice in Lawton, and this really bugs me because I just kind of felt that if John wanted to convince June to go away with him, then he should have just said what happened to Janice. He should have just told her that Ginny killed Janice, and then that would have made June wake up and realise what she was like, and then she would have ran off with him. But instead he just sort of holds it in, and then the two go their separate ways at the end of the episode. And I just kind of watched that end scene and I was thinking to myself, John, if you had just told her, she would have come with you. So yeah, I found that to be a bit irritating. Perhaps John didn't talk about Janice because he was too upset about it still, or maybe he didn't want to get June involved and didn't want to, put her in danger. But I don't know. I just kind of felt that if he had told her, then the whole ending could have been avoided. And speaking of that ending, when they go their separate ways, I get what the show was trying to do, but I couldn't take it seriously because it just felt like a rip-off of Fast and Furious, but there you go. In comparison, I found Sherry and Dwight's sort of separation last week to be a lot more natural and believable than the separation of these two. Anyway, before the episode gets to that point, June and Sarah have to go to the oil fields, and there's been an explosion, as they basically have to help people who've been burnt and try to save everyone. And this is the same oil field that Luciana is stationed at, something which I completely forgot about until it was shown in the little catch-up thing at the start of the episode. Catch-up thing? What's it called when they show you what happened on the last episode? Recap. Recap. I got it. That's what it is. Recap. Now I've completely lost what I was talking about now. Right. Anyway, Luciana. So this is her first appearance on the show this season, and sadly she is mostly a passenger after her introduction. She gets a few lines of dialogue here and there, and she doesn't really do a lot, and this is kind of in keeping with how the show's treated Luciana in the last 2 seasons. She's had next to nothing to do since Nick died, and I don't think the show knows what to do with her, which is a shame really, because I really enjoyed her character in season 2 and 3, and now she just doesn't really do anything. So hopefully she improves going forward. If not, they might as well just kill her, because she doesn't even have a story at the moment, she's just there. The phrase "the end is the beginning" is spray painted on one of the oil field structures, and Ginny then believes that this group, whoever they are, who use this phrase, must be responsible for attacking the oil field. And she then believes that Wes is part of that group because he has spray paint in his bag or his belongings, and then she goes to interrogate him. And if you don't remember who Wes is, he's that character who's introduced towards the end of last season, I believe, who likes painting and books and spent much of his time painting with Alicia, if I remember, and I think he tried to die to get a manuscript. I don't know. It was just the awful writing of last season. Anyway, he is interrogated, and by interrogated I mean that Ginny pushes on the shrapnel in his body to try and get answers out of him, and it's obvious that this guy has nothing to do with it because he just likes art and he just likes painting and is an artist. And yeah, it's pretty horrific to watch, but again, you know, it didn't have that much of an effect on me because I barely know this guy. I don't really care about him. He hasn't been on the show long enough. It's not the same as if this was happening to Daniel or Strand, for example. So, as horrific as it was, it kind of didn't do much for me. Ginny and June then move further inwards within the oil field and try to find what's going on and try to find more survivors. And then they get caught up in another explosion and get trapped in a building or debris. I don't know if it's debris from the explosion or it's something that was already there. We'll say debris. And Ginny wakes up and her hand is bitten by a walker. And then June wakes up and Ginny spots an axe and she tells June to chop it off and June says no. And then she says, okay, I'll do it myself. And June says, no, you won't. And then the two have a fight over it and it ends up with June coming out on top with the axe to Ginny's throat. Unfortunately though, June gives in to Ginny's pleads for mercy and doesn't kill her, and this really annoyed me. I was hoping that June was going to do a Morgan and decapitate her. I was hoping that this was going to be her shocking moment. I mean, I know the actress who plays her has been quoted saying before the season that messed up stuff happens this season, and I was thinking, oh, here we go, you know, this is going to be one of those moments and she's going to kill her, but nope. I think if she had have done it, it would have been in keeping with the darker tone that we've seen this season, and it also would have been just as shocking as when Morgan killed the bounty hunter in the season premiere. I think it would have also made more sense if June did kill her than letting her go, because when she got in that position where she's got an axe against her throat and is going to kill her, I think you've got to go through with it, because Ginny's been shown to be a ruthless leader. Do the writers expect me to believe that Ginny is just going to forget this and forgive June and they're going to go on living their life happily ever after? Because I don't think they will. I think she's too dangerous. I think if you're in that position where you're threatening to kill her, then you've got to go through with it, because now your life's going to be in danger. So I didn't like that. I just thought that letting Ginny go was a dumb move. It's something that wouldn't seem out of place in season 4 and 5 of the show. And it's disappointing because I kind of thought that we were past that point now and I thought characters were making logical decisions, but I don't think this was logical at all. I think it was silly, and I think June is asking for trouble now that she's done this. Or perhaps I might be wrong. Maybe Ginny will have a change of heart and she'll be a nicer person now because she's been spared. But I really hope that's not the case. I mean, if anything, that would just vindicate Morgan's attitudes last season, and you know, people can change, we've got to spare everyone. And I think if Ginny does change, then Morgan will go back to being how he was and saying that you have to spare everyone, and so will the rest of the characters. And I hope for, you know, that for the sake of that she doesn't change and doesn't become nice, because then we're back in all life is precious, everyone can change territory again. So yeah, I hope that's not the case. I hope it comes back to bite June in the arse, but we'll see what happens. Like I've already mentioned, June decides not to go away with John at the end of the episode, and she tells John that Ginny has agreed to build a hospital for her, and I guess this is a thank you for sparing her, and June feels that she has to now stay at this hospital to help people, which again is a bit strange, I think. I think that if I were in her shoes, I would still choose my partner over staying and helping random people for a lady who kills people. But I don't know, maybe the fact that she was a nurse comes first and she just feels that that's her passion and that's what she has to do. But again, I just kind of felt that this didn't work. This separation didn't work for me at all. So going back to what I said at the beginning of this video, I know I've been negative about things I don't like, but there's nothing really wrong with this. It's not like it's a terrible episode to watch. It's not like the dialogue is unlistenable, or it's not like, you know, things happen and it's awful. It's actually a decent episode and in keeping with the rest of the show, or the rest of this season, sorry, but I just don't agree with some of the plot points. I don't like following June and Sarah. Luciana adds nothing to the show at the moment. She's criminally underutilised. I didn't like the ending. It wasn't like it was bad in terms of production. It was just I didn't agree with the direction that it took, and as such I didn't enjoy this episode. So yeah, I just didn't like it. And I just felt that, and June sparing Ginny was just sort of the icing on the cake for me. That was just, it just made me so angry, because it just felt like a major step backwards for Fear the Walking Dead. I think our characters so far this season have acted quite intelligent and have been making clever moves, and then you get the chance to kill someone and you don't take it. And this was the perfect opportunity, really. She was stuck in an oil field, she could have just killed her. Who's going to know what happened to her? They're stuck under debris. Who's going to know that she's dead and that she killed her? No one. There's no one there. She had the perfect opportunity and didn't take it, and now it's going to come back and haunt her. And if it doesn't, then, you know, that's going to be even worse, because I don't for a minute believe that Ginny is capable of changing. You know, if she does, that's just going to irritate me. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy this episode, but, you know, I've enjoyed 5 out of 6 so far, so I don't think it's any reason to panic. Hopefully I will enjoy the mid-season finale next week. So let me know your thoughts below. Did you enjoy this episode? Do you disagree with me, or do you agree with me? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know below, and I shall see you all very soon. Goodbye.